Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our first episode here of Geritalks. I am Dr. Duran, and I want to introduce my partner in crime, Adrian Rodriguez. Adrian,
Hi, how's it going?
how are you, sir? Well,
Good,
thank
good. Good
you.
morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, we're all excited about our first
Super excited.
Jerry Talks. For sure, we have a lot of good ideas for the podcast. And you remember, we're doing audio podcast and we're doing
Mm-hmm.
video podcast.
Hence the tie,
Yeah, there you go.
looking sharp.
Looking
Yep.
sharp, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, we're pretty excited. I think we're really gonna have something very special here. I think we have plans of, inviting a lot of people that I think they can bring a lot of support, a lot of quality information for us, but obviously for our audience and for our public. I think we can definitely learn all together here. Um, but I guess we're planning to kind of address from obviously major problems of aging, like
Sure,
medical problems. I'm thinking about some of the social problems
sure.
of aging, and also maybe some of the psychological changes with
Mm-hmm.
age, and really, I think we have a ton of list over there of people that they can potentially give us some support, and I think you already have thought about a few people already.
Yeah,
So I
we're very
think,
lucky. Las Cruces, where we are, we're very lucky. We have such a great community, good bunch of people who are experts in their field, and we have a good group to draw on and give some good information out here. Yeah,
yeah, no, I agree. I think we have a lot of people that definitely can help a lot. I guess just for everybody, for people who are hearing, I just wanted to make sure what the plan is going to be for Jerry Talks. I think
sure.
Jerry Talks will come out every Friday morning,
Mm-hmm.
and our plan is that one Friday we'll do the documentary interview with somebody, and then we'll give time that week for people to give some doubts or questions or comments. So the Friday after, we're gonna try to answer some of those comments, some of those questions, as much as we can. For
Yeah.
sure, we don't want to give any medical advice. So please,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be restraining of that. So it will be more general advice rather than directly to one person. But
Correct.
but yeah, I'll try it. We'll try, I guess, to do it as much as we can, or eventually providing the information that is out there in the community so they can get the help.
Sure. Sounds like it's going to be a good informational, just a resource for people, not just here in Las Cruces, but whoever is in the podcast listening world, just to get some good information because the aging is such a mystery for a lot of people. Am I right?
You're
You
right.
know, and being able to have a resource, someone you can talk to, listen from professionals in the field, I think will really relieve some of the stress and the unknowing of aging and growing older.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think and that's something that I've me and Adrian talked about. I have been thinking about this first episode after this one. What would be the best and kind of topic that it will be like a good introductory, like a good introduction to the podcast. And I think the culture of aging,
Sure.
really is, it will help an introduction to really kind of address some of the other issues that we potentially are going to address in the future. So I
Mm-hmm.
think, you guys are going to need to stay tuned for next episode, that it will be culture of aging. And I can tell you, we're going to talk not only about some of the epidemiology, some of the changes, in society, some of the changes in our culture with aging, some of the potential changes in healthcare, obviously, when it comes to how expensive potentially could be the care of older adults. I think there's going to be a lot of excitement areas that we can address that day. And we have invited a very special guest, that I'm going to let Adrian tell us a little bit more about him.
Mm-hmm. Sure, you're totally right. Everything that you're saying is right on the point. We definitely want to bring up some terminology as well, just so we can educate as much as possible. One of the guests that I've worked on bringing in to the show would be Mr. Keith Welpley, who's well known here in the city of Las Cruces. He was the former radio personality behind the Southwest Senior Radio Show as an AM talk show. I got to meet with him several times on the radio program, and he has a wealth of knowledge. And when we were talking before, in our pre-show meeting, we just we couldn't I couldn't think of anyone better who to have come in, show us how to do it, because I know you're new at this, I'm new at this. We want to get it off going right, and he's going to give us some tips. I already told him, be ruthless, tell us what we need to do. Am I standing right? Am I saying this right? Be honest, help us out. And he was very flattering and very, very interested in doing this. But before we get into guests, don't we want to talk about who you are?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that I wanted to get a little introduction of myself, for people who are going to start hearing. I said, I believe, some of the people that may follow this, they may already know me, but for the future people and for the people who doesn't know me, well, my name is Jesus Duran. I originally born in Dayton, Ohio, raised in Mexico. Um, I have been here in Las Cruces for the last 12 years. I have currently a practice called Southwest Center on Aging. That is the only practice in southern New Mexico that focuses on geriatric care. So we only do geriatric medicine, meaning that we do see adults. Usually older than 65. We do a little bit of a healthy aging, so we start seeing patients, after 55. But yeah, we have done it for 12 years. We have been very passionate about geriatric care, and I know that a lot of the people here in the community know as well. I guess a little bit background from my studies. I did medical school in Mexico, and then I did internal medicine in Texas Tech University in El Paso, Texas. Then I did geriatric medicine at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston. Then I did hospice and palliative medicine, same at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston. Then after that, I did a little bit of I work as a hospitalist and Methodist Hospital for the Methodist DeVakey Heart Center. That I did for 6 months until my wife said, we're done with Houston. I think, she didn't like too much the rush hour and the many,
Big city
the
living.
big city, obviously complications that they have. So I'll let you know that, I was always planning to go back to El Paso. And I had a good friend here in Las Cruces that I asked him, hey, by the way, thinking of going to El Paso private practice, what are your thoughts? And he said, well, have you thought about coming to Las Cruces, New Mexico? And I said, well, no. I said, well, there's a retiring community. It's a lot of people. There's a lot of people, a lot of retirees, and they at that point there was nobody, in this field. So he said, would you consider coming? So to make the story short, I have been here 12 years, and so I think so far so good. We're very excited, and we're very excited about having these opportunities, obviously like Geritalks, not only for us to learn, but obviously for us to teach the community. What about you, Adrian?
Sure.
How you ended up here? How you get
Oh my
involved in
gosh.
geriatrics?
I have a long history in healthcare. Now, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a doctor, okay, but I have a history working in healthcare, working in home healthcare, and private duty in-home care services. Long story short, I was raised by nurses all my life. Grandma's a nurse, mom's a nurse. My little sister became a nurse. My older sister and we both went into the business realm, and we followed into the family footsteps of nursing. So the two companies I help run here in Las Cruces, and just like you, I'm not from here. I'm born and raised in El Paso, but I just fell in love with the city of Las Cruces, right? We both fell in love with
yes,
the
sir.
city. You cannot deny it. This is a gorgeous town. And I run Tender Care Home Health. My family owns that. That is a medical home health agency that offers skilled nursing, physical therapy, occupational therapy, pretty much everything to keep our senior community healthy and happy in the comfort of their own home. Okay, anything we can do in the hospital, we can also now do it now in the home and with just as much comfort and security. Okay. So we have that company. That's Tender Care Home Health. And then I also have Crossroads and Home Care. Working for family is working for family. It gets tough.
Yeah.
So I had to say, you know what, Mom? I want to open my own place. I want to do something my own. So I created a company called Crossroads in Home Care. And in doing so, not being a nurse or anything, I wanted to go the non-medical route. I learned from so many brilliant people. I have a history of working in conferences across the United States, working in Washington, D.C., working in Santa Fe, Austin, in our capitals, to try to promote senior care advocacy. And when I would go in all these places, I'd ask all these brilliant business minds, if you could do it over again, how would you do it? And every single one of them told me I would get into private duty home care services. And it makes sense with our aging population, the baby boomers booming again, into the senior world. It just made sense that they're going to need a little bit of extra care. And then with insurances and all the turmoil that's going on politically when it comes to taking care of who's paying for these services, it makes sense to offer a company that would be private pay, an out-of-pocket expense. Fill in those gaps that the insurances can't do. So with Crossroads, we do just caregiving services, transportation, and then we specialize in dementia and Alzheimer's. I've been working so long with the Alzheimer's Association here for the state of New Mexico that I was blessed that they actually asked me to become a board member, an advisory board member for the state New Mexico Alzheimer's Association. So we have a lot of real common interests, right, in order for us to create this podcast.
I agree. I know. I agree. I think, and it's interesting because I met Adrian, probably like 10 years ago. And I actually met, I was invited to be a medical director of Tender Care Home Health, that I'm very proud. It's a great company. And, so I met Adrian since then, and I have known his family, obviously, for many years. And, I know how passionate and how dedicated are for the home health and for the community and for geriatric medicine. I think what you talked about, people people at home. I think that's gonna be a big topic that at some point we're gonna have here, because that's huge right now.
Right.
Keeping people at home, I think that's huge, and that involves obviously a lot of different modalities that we're gonna be digesting here for sure. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, definitely.
The reality, and also excited about like Adrian said, he has been involved a lot in the Alzheimer's Association. He has been involved, a lot of with the board, and he has been part of a lot of some legislation here in New Mexico. And I think we're hoping that at some point we can even have some of our guests, they can definitely come and join us and discuss some of those laws and changes that they have they're being ruling New Mexico, or potentially that things that maybe affect or benefit some of the elderly patients that we can come and we can discuss here with somebody else.
Sure, you're very right. There's a whole realm to senior care. Am I right?
Yes.
I mean, from the home to the facilities that are available for seniors, government programs, city, municipal programs, all the different resources that are available for our senior community if they can't afford a private organization. And then we still have the private side, all the good things that, people can do if they have the means to afford it, So we have all this whole realm from the home to the facility and back to the home,
And the reality, when I said that, I think we're gonna learn together, is because, even myself, to be honest, people ask me sometimes questions about, Meals on Wheels, Adult Protector Service, you name it, and I sometimes, I don't know very well. People are like, who do I talk to, or what the process, or what paperwork do we need to do? And I really don't know. And I think, getting, people from these agencies, or potentially a social worker that will will teach us, all of us, what eventually what where they need to go, or what eventually what the process is. I think that's going to be huge.
Oh, I agree. You're totally right. And it's the old adage, whatever we don't know, we'll find out for you,
Yeah.
right? So they can always, all our listeners can always just send us an email and say, hey, we haven't heard so much about this particular program with the city. If they want us to research it, use our expertise to give them an actual, a good idea of what this program is, we can do that. That's what this podcast gives us.
I agree, definitely. To be honest, that's where we're here. Obviously, as we said, we're gonna have comments, answer, and doubts, and for sure, once you put your comments, if we don't know their answer right away, we'll, for sure, we'll help you find out the right source, and we're gonna find out, who to get you in contact with. Um,
Can I ask you a question?
so of course.
Why geriatrics?
Well, that's a good story. To be honest, I did, as I said, I did internal medicine, and on my third year of internal medicine, very late, when I was ready to finish, I did have my geriatric rotation, and I it was not the greatest rotation, but I did was enough to get me a little bit interested. So I took my books and I started reading a little bit more. And to be honest, I found out that there was a big gap in my training that I was missing. And I found out that how geriatric older adults, they really there was a lot of other problems that they have that they were, to be honest, they were not adequately addressed in my internal medicine residency. So at that point, I was all my internal medicine residency, I always thought about doing cardiology. So I knew that I was going to go to cardiology, but I had a year in between I finished my third year internal medicine residency, between my first year of a geriatric fellowship, first year of cardiology. I had a year there in between, and to be honest, I always kind of thought to myself, I don't want to go and do a full job, because I was concerned that I was gonna get a little comfortable with the salary. So I said, I need to look into something, keep my training,
Sure.
and find out, what else I could do. So to be honest, at that point, it can make a lot of sense. I think let's go and do geriatric. So I was lucky enough, to be honest, that I apply three different places, and I got approved, I got accepted in all three. But since I knew that I was going to Houston, so that's why Baylor College of Medicine in Houston made a lot of sense.
It's a good
So so of course, I did a year, and I literally loved it. You know what I loved the most, to be honest? In every single place that I interview, it was how passionate the people that I interview, they were all very passionate.
Yes.
And that's something that it kind of triggers me. It kind of got a lot of my attention. So I did a year of geriatrics, and I absolutely loved it. So then later I went to cardiology, and I'm sorry for if there's going to be a cardiologist here hearing, but I hated it. I hated it after 6 months. I really struggled. I really hated it, and I was lucky that I have a great mentor. I got a great mentor over there, and I went back and I told him, to be honest, this is not what I thought. This is not what I'm not as passionate I thought that I was going to be. And by that point, it was time to take my boards in geriatrics. So I was kind of reading a little bit, and that, kind of find out my passion there. So I was lucky enough that I said that I went back to Baylor. They took me for a hospice and palliative medicine. And to be honest, I don't regret it a single day. I do love what I do. I always tell my kids, I'm very lucky to do. I'm very lucky that my work is what I love to do. I do understand that not too many people can say that. But I'm very lucky. Thank God that I can. Obviously, what I do is what I do for work is what I love. So that's kind of the story in geriatric part.
That makes a lot of sense. We're all going down the same path, right? Medicine is getting better day in, day out. We're only going to get older, so being able to be part of the answer, to be part of the programs that are here to help, that it's a beautiful thing. And what you've done in focusing on geriatrics, it tells a lot about you as an individual. To me, I see that it tells a lot about you as an individual on how compassionate you can be. Because there's an old phrase that I use when I'm talking about Alzheimer's and dementia with my clients, and the old phrase is once an adult, twice a child.
Yeah.
Right? We start off as little babies needing to be our hands held and fed and swaddled. We become these animals, adults,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of revert back in older age to a childlike status
Yeah.
in many cases, where we need to be taken care of again. And with that in mind, it's nice to know that we have compassionate people out here that are willing to take care of these seniors again, and give them the respect they deserve.
No, I 100% agree. And yeah, I think that's what the things that I learned, even though me as a kid, obviously, to respect my elders. And I think, that came, obviously, we all grew up with our grandparents. I was fortunate that I grew up with my grandparents. And for sure, I always felt very attached. I always felt that, they always have like something to tell, and that's one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that I enjoy more of geriatrics, is, how much they can teach me,
Oh,
not how
sure.
much I can teach them.
Exactly.
To be honest, here in the office, every single day, there's people who come that, they have been so, so many achievements, during their life. We have, you name it, politicians, deans
Mm-hmm.
of university, doctors, lawyers, teachers, war veterans. It's just amazing, just being able to hear some of those
Right.
stories.
Right.
We have people that are, they have, here, because, we have some people that have worked at NASA, they have wrote multiple books at some point, or at some point not, I still do, I collect some of the books that actually patients have wrote, so they actually have signed it to
Oh, how
me.
wonderful.
So yeah, it's just amazing, how so, some of these stories that they have to tell,
Mm-hmm.
they're really cool.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Duran, I want to, kind of tell you a little bit why I got into geriatrics as well,
Sure,
and,
sure.
to our listeners. Um, since I'm not necessarily the medical expert, that's your realm. Mine is more of the social, the emotional, the well-being, right? The heart of it, not cardiologist heart, but
The well behaved
the
on
well-behaved.
the well behaved.
Yeah, well, how I am. But I got into senior care after being a young man. I worked in the restaurant industry most of my life, and I moved to Dallas, Texas. You graduate high school, you want to be a big guy and make it on your own. And so I did. I moved to Dallas, Texas, and I ended up moving back because my mom was taking care of my grandmother.
Yeah,
Okay,
remember.
so my grandmother was living in her house, and my mom was looking to move out. She just met her now husband, who's a wonderful man, and she asked me. She said, Mijo, son, do you want to come back and take care of grandma, and you can live in the house and you can take care of grandma and everything. Sure, no problem. I come back super fast, and she ends up becoming my best friend. Right? Grandma becomes my best friend. We did everything together. As a young man, I would go out and, meet my friends and come back late at night. And guess who's up, hanging out, still having a good time in the house? Grandma. She's having a good time. She was my best friend. She still is my best friend. She's on the cover of my brochure,
Yeah,
for my company.
that's true.
She's wonderful. And it ended up not knowing, not being a medical professional, that she ended up developing dementia, and to see her taken away, my best friend taken away from me at that time, I never got it until I got into the industry. At first, I was like, "Why is she so mean to me? What's going on here?" Then I get into the industry. My mom opens tender care, and I work for her. And then I learn, the trade. And then it dawns on me, oh my gosh, grandma this whole time had dementia.
Mm.
Wow. So it's a very personal thing for me. We'll get into stories of, what I've had to deal with dementia. We'll talk about, that in more in depth in other episodes. But it's a very personal thing. Taking care of seniors, it's what I was born and raised to do, I
Yeah.
think. And that's where, like you, I don't have to work. I get up in a good mood because I get to take care of people. You just like you get to come over here and take care of these great, brilliant minds, you know. So I think we're really gonna have a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's kind of nice that usually people who are in this field, they were very influenced by their grandparents,
Oh
especially
yeah.
when they were kids, and because of them, some of them, they actually found the love and passion to the geriatrics. And yeah, for whoever knows me well when I was little, is gonna hear this. Actually, for some reason, when I was like a teenager, my great grandmother, I used to go and visit her I think every Wednesday or something, because my dad
Mm-hmm.
used to do that. So I
Mm-hmm.
used to do that to myself, and sometimes it was with him, sometimes it was by myself, and I don't know. It just felt like, you know, it was a relaxing time for me. I just felt it was easy to talk, even though sometimes she didn't talk too much, and eventually she developed a little bit of a early dementia.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just felt very attached, and I guess since then, we start getting some of the love for geriatrics that I
Right.
did discover late, as I said, in my
Sure.
internal medicine residency. That's why I was so blessed, that I did suddenly decide to go to geriatrics, because if it was not because of that year, I would have never probably encountered that experience, and then, to be honest, I always said it. There's a few things in my life that I'm glad that I did, that I don't regret. One of them, for my wife that is here and is getting married. Yeah, that's one. That's for sure for
Uh,
one. The other one is, for sure, when I decided not to do cardiology, I think being able to kind of one day decide, I'm done.
mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the best decisions that I made in my life. I remember when I decided not to go. One of the chief of cardiology over there at Methodist Hospital in Houston, he said, Dr. Duran, you cannot imagine how many people are walking that hall, and they're very unhappy of what they
Mm-hmm.
do.
Oh
And
yeah.
and that's that. It is true, and there's true for many other doctors, or potentially many other specialties, or many other professions. And that's why I feel so blessed that
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to do something that I'm really passionate, that I really
Mm-hmm.
love.
You're blessed to be able to do this, but in turn, we're also blessed to have you.
I love it.
Taking care of our community
Well,
here. And that's a nice thing. You don't always deal in senior care. You get either 100% people who are in it for the right reason, and then you get the 50 percenters.
yeah, that's true.
And you were going at it
Yeah,
100%. We
that's
never hear
true.
anything negative about you, so that's a great thing.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, yeah. So I guess we one say that one thing that I said, by the way, is that one of the things, besides inviting people here to the Jerry Talks, we thought about the idea that at some point, we may even want to go out with a microphone and get you guys a tour, because remember,
Yes.
this is going to be a video blog too.
Uh huh.
It's not just going to be a podcast. So we want to get out the camera and show you guys maybe some of these facilities that
For
they're
sure.
taking care of geriatric patients. We can go from rehabilitation clinics or rehabilitation centers to some of the assisted livings, maybe to some of the nursing home or skilled nursing
Oh
facilities.
yeah.
There's so many places. I wish that at some point, for sure, let's suppose that we're talking about sleep apnea or problems, the sleeping problems in the older adults.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can take the camera and go to the sleep lab and kind of show you a little bit of how it works. And again, I think this is gonna be good for
And the
all of us.
microphones too, so
Yeah,
people who are snoring, right?
sorry, yeah, there you go. So I think I think there's so many potential of places that we can always show, and we can, as I said, learn together. And you never know, maybe one day we'll take the microphone even out of Las Cruces.
Oh, let's do it. Yeah, I'm ready to go. I want to hit the road because it affects everyone everywhere. It's growing older. It's gonna hit us all, and to be able to get so many questions answered with a show like ours, I'm all for it. I'm excited. Are you excited?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I think, as I said, just to kind of finish with you guys today, I do want to reemphasize. Remember, next Friday will be our first
Interview.
interview. It's gonna be with
Keith Welpley,
very well.
former radio host for Southwest and Aging. Nope, sorry. They Southwest Senior Radio Show. There we go.
There
I'll
you
get
go.
it right. I'll
There
get it
you go.
right.
There you go.
It's
So
gonna
yeah,
so
please
many
get it right
Southwests.
next time.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we're
Especially
gonna
when he's here.
yeah, and we're gonna talk about the culture of aging. I think there, as I said, there's gonna be a lot of exciting, very interesting conversation. We have a lot of the table to talk about. So anything else, Adrian, that you want to say?
No, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to do this. I cannot wait to hear the feedback from the community and from listeners to see what guide us. Tell us where you want to know, what information you want to know. We will find it. You're a learned man. I'm a learned man. We're both in this realm. Let's get some questions answered for some folks.
Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
even now, for sure, if you have any comments, any suggestions, what we did right, what we did wrong, or eventually you have any suggestions about possible like people that we can invite,
Sure.
for sure we'll be happy to take those suggestions. So I guess if everything well, I will thank you very much for listening, Adrian. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Duran.
So we'll see you next Friday, and remember, let's celebrate aging.
Adios.
Bye.